Well, hello everyone, and welcome back into the world of the VCO Esports Studio. Last time out, we talked with a champion, the Porsche Esports Super Cup champion. That was a busy weekend, though, and Marcell has been celebrating with champagne, but now joins us as the very first ESL R1 Spring champion. Marcell, delighted to have you join the studio. How are you feeling? Have you gotten over the celebrations yet? Are you still got that big smile on your face, of course?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, and hello everyone. Yeah, it's like a bit still an amazing feeling since that, and I'm just trying to understand the whole situation since that. But I think the feeling is just getting better since I got home, so I'm really enjoying it.
Let's talk a little bit about the major, the event itself, before we get into your story a little bit. What was it like being part of that environment? What were the nerves heading into that final day, knowing what was on the line and the atmosphere that everyone had? It seemed really exciting watching on, at least on the live stream.
Yeah, I think it was exciting from inside also. Like on Saturday, I guess I had more pressure, like before the qualies, and on the first quali, it was visible, but after that, it just came off from me, and wasn't really there after that. And on the Sunday, at the beginning I felt a little bit of pressure, but towards the end of the races, it was getting better, and I could do one of my best quali laps, I guess, on the Monza on the last race. So at the end, it turned out to be really good.
I really enjoyed watching finalist mode, and we'll get to talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your introduction to the world of racing, into the world of sim racing. You're from Hungary, the home of a great Formula One circuit and so much motorsports culture. How did you first get into motorsports and then find your way into the world of sim racing?
That's. I think I had the connection with motorsport since as a kid or something. I guess like I remember I started watching F1 in 2007 when Hamilton jumped into the sport, and I became a fan of his. And after that, like in 1 or 2 years, we got a very cheap sim racing wheel for the PC. And since that, I'm just doing it like as a hobby. But of course, it turned to be professional like let's say 3 years ago. I started to focus on this much more than before, and it was like progress from the beginning, because started to be like in lower series, and it was getting better and better, and getting into the better ones. And I think this ESL R1 from the Ramsport, it's definitely one of the biggest in the sim racing world, and I was already happy there just to be in it. And I was like somewhere expecting that getting somewhere around top 10 or something would be good, but at the end, how it ended, it's just yeah, really amazing.
I've got to ask, you say that you got into Formula One, got the sim racing wheel, but only got really seriously into sim racing in the last handful of years. How
Yeah.
much does the fact that we've seen you across of so many different cars, especially once you've reached the top level of sim racing, how much is that reflected in what you were doing before? Because I always find that there are some drivers who very much are specialists with one car and really enjoy it, but you seem to be quite adaptable, not just across cars, but across simulators as well.
Yeah, let's say I consider myself like a really universal driver, I guess, because I like to drive F1 cars, GT cars, rally cars even. Well, I'm not really doing at the moment, but even that. So I think I have like a I wouldn't say advantage or something, but even I feel that it's quite easy to adapt with the cars if I drive even from one game to another. Because let's say if I drive ACC, when we had the VCO like at the beginning of this year on the, I don't know which car it was, but I could be close to the top guys there, and I saw that it's something good. And I didn't really play a lot on ACC before, and mostly I'm focusing on R Factor. And on R Factor, I think I always had a good pace, and even with different cars. And when we hopped in onto on Ransport, that beginning was a bit of struggle, let's say, but through the season, I think it was like a progress, that getting better and better. And and I think I could manage to know the car, the game, all of the tracks really well for the end of the season, because I think I was more confident towards the end of the season than at the beginning.
How much of your progress has been because of the teams that you've been able to work with as well in these last couple of years? Because I know that you joined R8G at the start of 2022. Before
Yeah,
then was racing with Vargas Sim Racing, but had a brief
yeah.
spell where you ran in Virtual Le Mans with Williams Esports. So you've had the opportunity to work with a handful of different teams, ultimately find a place where you feel very comfortable and you seem to be developing as a group very well.
Yeah, I think I keep myself or I'm being really a team player, and that's why we were being really good in endurance. Let's say like in the VC years back then in 21, we had a really good season on that, and after winning the championship, we got an let's say like an offer for the LMVS season for the first season of LMVS from Williams to drive for them. It was at the end of 21, and I think we could work really well together, and we had the pace, but unfortunately because of some things like it didn't really show on the track. It wasn't really our fault, let's say, but we couldn't really show what we are able to do or what I able to do, and yeah, I think, but it didn't really, let's say, it didn't really change my mind. I was always like thinking, being as a team player in every situation, even if it was like individual championship. We always try to help each other. Uh, let's say because if we go, let's say, go on practice on Ransport or something, and we go together, and we always pushing each other to the limit, and it helps a lot to the other also. Like let's say if I find something, if my teammate find something, then we showing to each other that what we doing wrong, and I think this is the way how to improve everyone in the team, and be the best. Because even if, let's say, like someone is being really fast but not really a team player, that maybe it's not really showing on the result because it's not really good environment anymore, and things not really working out anymore that much, let's say.
I've got to ask, 20, you say last 3 years you've been a lot more committed to sim racing. Does that mean you are a full-time sim racer?
Yeah, actually, yeah. It started to be that like from 22, beginning of 22, when I started to work with R8G and had an actual contract for that year. So I was really happy with it. But but before I was working like for a bakery until March of 21, and as I said, as I started to focus on sim racing in 2020, and I was still working. So those days were really tough and hard for me because I came home from work. I had to go to work like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I came home like 12 or 2 p.m., something like that. And I had to sleep and came to the sim and doing for like 3, 4, 5 hours or something to give a good result on the races. And because of this, I guess I could stop the work and just focus on sim racing in from 21 March. Um, because at the same time that year there was the BMW Championship, and I we started to participate in that, and I could do really good results and could get some. Back then it was not that bad money, especially how much I got in work. And after I just decided that okay, I want to do this. There is money in it. I think I'm good in this, and let's focus on this and let's see.
And I guess all of that effort kind of culminated in 2022 when you were part of, all of those different things, Virtual Le Mans, Formula E Accelerate, VCO Esports Racing League, all these different things as a full-time sim racer. How does that play into being a team player, though? Because I think what a lot of people miss when we talk about quote-unquote full-time sim racing, you're not spending all of your time out there trying to go fast. There's other things that you're trying to do as well.
Uh, yeah, like let's say this sim racing is being a really, how to say, uh, really complicated job. I can consider this as a job, I guess, because to be honest, I'm not spending like 8 hours front of the PC and like driving the sim like 8 hours straight or something. It's my mind would go crazy or something like that, I guess. But let's say even if it's 3 or 4 hours, okay, you're done with it, but you still have to be a little bit at the PC to check everything, check the data, talk with the others, watch what's going on Discord and all the stuff. And even if you get out from the sim, get out from the room, you're not at the PC, your thoughts still on this whole thing, like on the sim racing, like what if and all the stuff. I think at least for me it's really hard to disconnect like my job as a sim racer from my whole life. Like it's always being there for me. But other things what I do next to this is like try to do sports. Trying to go out with my friends if possible and spending time with my family, with my pets like dogs and cats, something like that. So I try to live like a normal life, but of course like sim racing is making it a bit harder.
Sim racers going outside. I heard that that's not possible. Let's, I guess, talk about this year then, Marcel, because when Rennsport was first announced, I think a lot of people who maybe were watching on and not part of the competition were all questioning what it was gonna be like. Of course, for the competitors, you got access, you started testing, and then you dialed in for that very first in-person event. And when you landed up at IEM Katowice, what was the sense like when you all sat down in the rigs for the very first time? How confident were you going into the season? You said you were only thinking of a top 10, but surely you were feeling a little bit more confident than that.
Let's say I don't know. I saw the names like who is gonna participate in the championship, like top guys from iRacing, top guys from ACC, top guys from R Factor. So I know always that I have a good pace and it's possible to being around the top, but to be honest, like okay, top 10 maybe around top 5. Let's say I was expecting, but actually that first LAN event, Katowice, it was happened really well because from the beginning till the end, I really had good and consistent performance, consistent results. If I remember well, I finished like because we had three races on Saturday and three races on Sunday, and I could finish all of them on the podium. So I had a really consistent and good performance there. And after that, I got more confident. Let's say before Katowice, yeah, I don't know. I was trusting in the top 10 somewhere to be, but I'm saying it honestly. And after that, it got to be a bit better because after Katowice, I was P2 in the championship, and it gave me some motivation.
You only failed to get out of the quarterfinals once. What was that type of racing like? Because 15-minute races after the first couple of rounds, we shortened the races down very slightly. Qualifying becomes so important, but you had some experience of that type of racing, courtesy of the VCO Esports Racing League, which you ran in 2022, where, let's be
Yeah.
honest, in those sorts of races, if you're not moving forward, you're getting spun backwards usually.
Yeah. Those races were really. I was enjoying a lot, but we were going sometimes crazy and that those races on the VCO, I learned many things for the future. Especially, I think I was too hot headed. Definitely in the championship, even though I had a good pace and I was just we had so many great fights with Redline, but I think mostly I was the one who started to go always a bit like crazy and just lost in the mind. And after watching reviewing all of those races, I was learning a lot to the Rensport season. Let's say so. Yeah, but on Rensport, like the format and everything, I think it's really like really tough. Uh, just even to saying like one shot qualifying, it's crazy. It's the most brutal thing I ever did in sim racing, I guess, and it's really hard to do it consistently. And I think there wasn't a guy from the whole season who could do good qualifying every round. I think it was impossible that that thing. And they actually that when I was out once in the quarters, it was the round 6 or 5 Nürburgring, I guess, and I sorry, I messed up the quali on that one, but after it was like in sector one, and after I finished the lap, like I had a cut already, I saw that with a really like let's say safe lap I could be in, and I was so angry on myself. I think on that point I was a bit lost in my mind that started to doubting myself, like how I could do this and all the stuff. And I had some anger on that race, and I think I was doing things which wasn't really for the racetrack, and I got a really nice penalty for that. So after that, I learned again that to have to be a bit more clean.
How much did it help throughout the course of the season, especially when you had some of those poor moments, though, to have the
Yeah.
fact that both Yuri as well as Erhan were having as much success as you. I know Risto didn't necessarily have the most luck through the course of the season, but how much does it help when you have teammates who are heading into those semi-finals that you can sometimes work with? Because I really like this idea that in the quarterfinals you have one driver from each team that rides by themselves, and then hopefully you get some team support the further forward you work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that that part of it, it was good. Like only one driver from team per race. I think that was a good idea from the organizers, I guess. And like to starting with already that part like of the quarterfinal is putting a bit of a pressure on you, mostly because as I said, you have that one shot quality, and if you're not doing well, it's really hard to climb up on the race. From example, from P12 to P6, it's being really tough. But mostly like we were always, almost all of us could be around the top six, like, and making at least to the semis and mostly to the finals also. So I think this format was working out for us.
I think it's going to be interesting as we go into the next season how
Yeah.
those team dynamics play out as well. You've got now a target on your back. You don't just have the check, you don't just have the trophy, which we can see over your shoulder. You are now the first ever ESL R1 champion. What does that mean
Yeah.
to you going into the summer, though, as you have a slight break? You can take a couple of weeks off. What are you doing to kind of focus up and try and get your momentum rolling off into season two?
Yeah, I was when it was ended. Like I'm here, I'm home since like 2 weeks, a bit more than 2 weeks, and I wasn't really doing a lot around sim racing. Actually, when I got home on the first week, I was basically doing nothing, just like loafing around, being in the room, and going to my relatives, to my grandparents, and visiting others. Like after this great result, and on the second week, which was the previous week from this, I went to vacation for like 5 days to the mountains, and I was really enjoying that. It helped me a lot to turn my brain off a bit from sim racing, not completely, but it helped something. And now it's the third week, and actually I'm already thinking on to do some driving, because it's like important to have a break from this, but you cannot really have, let's say, like a month or something, I guess, because then you forget some things, and it's really hard to get back to the pace. It's being annoying, and I don't really want to reach that. And actually it's not really putting any pressure on me that I could be the first champion of this championship. I'm just really looking forward to the next one now.
I can't wait as well. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's talk about some of the things that some of the viewers had been mentioning, because I'm curious to get your opinion on them. The fact that there were just 3 tracks from which we were racing. I
Yeah.
actually expressed that on the quarterfinal coverage on RaceSpot, that in some ways it's actually a slight benefit for the drivers, because as you're trying to learn the cars, learn the simulator, there's not so much variance in terms of which tracks you were going to. Were you guys finding a lot of speed week on week as you returned to tracks? Because I think one thing that maybe not everyone knows is you were using fixed setups across the competition, so everyone had the same
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say it in the same time it was good and it was bad, because we didn't really have to learn new tracks, of course, right? Like and really that point it came like around round 4 or 5, something like that, when we got back to the same track again, and we didn't really find any more pace like what we were doing before, and it was getting a bit frustrating and annoying also, like doing the same track, the same car, and no change in the setup. It's like I think it's also really tough for the mind to find the motivation to always come back and do this with 100% of your energy or something, like uh, yeah. At the end, really, like round 7, round 8 or something, I was really looking forward to to make this whole thing and like finish the season and have a break from this. But it was good to hear that we're gonna get the Monza for the majors, and it was fun to learn actually a new track. But I think definitely like for the next season, we need some new tracks, because also for the fans and for everyone, I guess it just has to be better to watch something new, not the same. Like it's yeah, it could be a bit boring sometimes, but I really believe like in the Rensport, because what we see so far from them, it's really amazing, absolutely how much they work on this. So I really believe that for the next season we're gonna get some new stuff.
And finally, people who have gotten keys via the closed beta are able to get access to the simulator and try some of the cars out as well. If anyone wants to go quick in the Audi, do you have any quick tips for them after all of the hours that you've spent testing
Uh,
that car?
yeah. Phew, let's say. Don't use the curb that much because it's impossible, and like that's one of the things for sure. And I think I can say this, but you have to have the sense for a really minimal slide on the car, which is like absolutely being in like a really tiny window. But if you overdo it or not doing enough, then it's already getting slow. Like it's pretty hard. And yeah, you always have to rev the car to the limiter, because not every car is the fastest like that. But on Audi, you have to go completely at the end of the limiter, and you can gain some more time. So I hope I can help to someone with this.
So there's a couple of tips from someone who knows that car. I am curious if you, now that you aren't competing, have also spent some time driving the other cars to understand what your competitors have underneath them.
Yeah, exactly. Because we had BOP test through the season. I think two or three, maybe two only two. And both of the time I drove the Porsche. I was focusing just on that car, and actually I was really like to drive that car, and I think the times were really proper for that also. So I could make the Porsche guys job a bit harder to get some plus kilos, maybe. but actually, that Porsche was really fun to drive. I didn't really drive Mercedes or BMW. Others drove that, but I love the Porsche.
Interesting. So maybe Marcel Chinchik in a Porsche moving forward. As we wrap things up here in this chat, though, Marcel, I'm curious, what does the rest of 2023 kind of look like for you? Because, of course, another season of ESL R1, yes, but you keep yourself busy, you keep yourself spread across different simulators and different cars. Where else can we expect to see you later on this year?
Oh, let's see. This year, I think gonna focus on Rensport completely, because we don't really have any upcoming championship for the season for us, I guess. So gonna focus on Rensport this year, and I hope this gonna continue for the next year. But we already have some rumors from other championships that they gonna start. I think I can say LMVS also is planning beginning of next year, and probably something with VTNR. So I will try to be active in all of them, like as possible. I'm not sure about the like other stuff. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen on ACC? Let's say, but these ones, I think I want to focus on them.
Final question before I let you go as well is you recently upgraded your rig to a lot of the VRS hardware, and I'm curious, was that kind of because these LAN events specifically for N Sport, everyone is sharing the same VRS rigs? Are you trying to just make sure, like some of your other competitors, that you have the same equipment at home as you're going to be racing with when you head out to the venues?
Yeah, exactly. For sure, that was the reason. And actually, we had a really good deal between the team and the VRS, and we could get like the equipment before Katowice already, and that was a really big advantage for us, I guess. So since January, I guess something like that, I have the VRS wheel, like the VRS base and the VRS pedals, and later also I got the wheel, like the actual steering wheel. And for this last major, I went that crazy that I even bought like the same monitor what we used on the LAN event, the 49-inch, because we experienced in Katowice that that was one of the biggest difference, the monitor, because I'm playing normally on a 27-inch single monitor, and we arrived there and you see that big thing which is like completely twice of this. And the most, like the word, or the most weird thing, it was like on the side of the monitor, everything seemed so fast. So before the major, I knew I'm in a good position in the championship, and I didn't want to risk anything. And I just got the monitor for that, I think it was working out. It was helping a lot at the end.
So there you go. You upgraded your rig because of what you were actually racing on in the venue. So there you go. Just some of these things that professional sim racers are always thinking about. Marcell, thank you so much for your time. Always a delight to hear some unfiltered honesty from you as well. Congratulations again on the championship and best of luck for the rest of 2023.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. See you.
It's going to wrap up another episode of the VCO Esports Studio. 2 champions here in the month of June. Who knows what we'll return with when we return here in July. For now, it's time to say goodbye. For the entire team behind the scenes at VCO, for Steve proudly controlling the production, my name is Arjuna Kankipati, signing off and saying so long and race on.